Hello, how's it going? So, this is Kenneth 14621, and you're gonna want to watch this video. It's very important. Okay, so I just calculated like last year, or like, I don't know if it was 2015, but we'll say last year, about 131 million people were born that year. And there's already 7.7 billion people on the earth, but 131 people were born last year. And so, if 131 million people are born every year from here on out, in 3,038,431 years, there will be a person standing on every square 4 foot of the earth, on every inch of the earth. There will be someone taking up space. There will be a person standing on every inch of the earth. If the population were to continue to grow by 131 million every year, that is a fact. I have calculated that. There is no disputing that. But I have further calculations. See, the population is going to continue to, there's going to be more and more people born each year. If nobody dies, or if we don't, not if nobody dies, if we don't have a mass extinction, you know what I'm saying? If we don't have some huge war that kills millions of people, which we're pretty civilized. I mean, we haven't had a war like that since World War II. I mean, there's really been no war to compare since World War II. So even in the least, wars are getting smaller and smaller. But even with World War I and World War II, in the past 100 years, from 1910 to 2009, the population has almost doubled that are born each year. So, and that's based on how many people were born in America, because a lot of countries don't keep stats of how many people are born each year. But so pretty much the population of the world has almost, that are born each year, has almost doubled in 100 years. And every 150 years, actually, exactly, almost exactly, about in every 150 years, the amount of people that are born each year doubles. So, like last year, 131 million people were born. But in 150 years, 262 million people will be born that year. See what I'm saying? Double that amount in 150 years will start being born every year. So I started calculating that. And if that continues, if every 150 years double the population is born, it will only be 50,815 years before there is a person standing on every inch of the earth. See what I'm saying? Now that calculation, I'm a little iffy about, but I calculated it, man. So, but the calculation, I know the max amount of time that we have, if just 131 million people are born every year from here on out, and it never increases, we will only have 3,038,434.13 years before, if everyone were standing on the ground of the earth, it would fill up every inch of the earth. There would be a person standing on every inch of the earth. And I'm telling you, by my calculations, so I just calculated how many years until if everyone were standing on the ground, there would be a person standing on every inch of the earth. And so, but really that number is a lot lower because there's going to be more and more people born each year. You know what I'm saying? And like it's a multiplication thing. Like in the past 100 years, the population almost doubled. But in the next 100 years, it will have, let's say it doubled in the first 100 years. The next 100 years, it will have more than doubled. See what I'm saying? So that time will be even shorter. But if I try to factor all that in, so anyways though, what I'm saying is the population stays the same from here on out, and more people aren't born each year than the previous year, we only have about 3 million years left on this earth before, but, you have people in skyscrapers and stuff like that. But what you don't realize is that is if there was nothing on the earth. If the earth was just a complete flat map with nothing on it. No houses, no cars, no buildings, or anything. You see what I'm saying? So now factor all that in and think of how much less space we have on the earth than actually the entire, the entire ground square footage of the earth, which I calculated, including minus the sea, taking away all bodies of water. So think about that. So there's no way we would last that long. Discounting some sort of massive structures that go way up in the sky. If everyone were just standing on the ground, and and when you realize that 131 million people are not going to be born every year from here on out, that number is going to continue to increase and increase and increase. See what I'm saying? So by like 1,000 years, think of how much that would have increased. You know what I'm saying? It's increasing by millions every year. I mean, that number is increasing by like over 2 million every year. So, and think about if we have that many people, where are all the crops going to grow? They're going to have to build towns and houses and cities over the top of these crops. Crops are diminishing. We're starting to have less and less crops in America and in the world because there's so many people that they're having to get rid of crops and build over them. See what I'm saying? So, and there's a lot of free land, but people own that land, and people don't want to sell land. You have all these people trying to preserve nature and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, by everyone's calculation, 3 million years max. But I'm telling you, there's a lot less than that. But by my own specific calculation, we only have 50,815 years before, if everyone were standing flat on the earth without any other structures, there would be a person standing on every inch of the earth. So, There you go. Think about that. And I've passed calculus 2 with flying colors. But this is the type of thing you just have to know how to calculate it. Maybe one day I'll go through all my calculations, but yeah, think about that. Anyways, though, this is Kenneth 14621 signing off.